Sounds good.
Hello, hello, hello. How's everyone doing this evening? Sorry, I'm running a little bit late. Things were running over. Life is lifing, but I am here now. So good to see everyone. And so, if you are in the future, please say hello. If you're joining us today, welcome to my channel. And on this channel, I help women navigate the corporate world, navigate their lives with ease. I like to tell women the secrets, the tips, and the hints that they're not telling you so that you can navigate your world a lot easier. Also, I help women gain and earn knowledge in the Scrum Master space so that you can make six figures. So I truly believe that we all deserve more money and we deserve a lot more money a lot easier. So that's what my channel is all about. So thank you for joining. So if this is something that you think someone would love, another woman would love, share it with three friends. Share it with three of them so they can hear the good things we have to say. But I do have a friend with me today, and we're going to have a wonderful, wonderful discussion. So you're in for a treat, ladies. This is going to be phenomenal because we're going to talk about Black women in leadership and why representation matters. So if you are in the mood for some real talk about Black women, this is going to be the place. And stick around to the end. I want to tell you about some exciting things that we have going on in the community and to make sure you're a part of this month's Scrum Master Workshop. So those that are joining, make sure you say hello. I would love to hear from you, and we read all the comments all the time. So, my friend, how are you doing this evening?
I'm doing so well. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
I am so glad you're here. So, Dr. Keena James Seward, how are things going for you?
Things are going well. I am excited, always have a lot of things going on, and I'm excited to talk with your audience and share some ideas and empower and encourage the ladies here so that they can level up in their careers as well.
I love it. So, tell us a little bit about yourself and tell us about your journey and where you are now.
Well, absolutely. I am a speech language pathologist by training, and I have experience in a few different arenas in healthcare, research and academia, higher education. And I now am in the space where I am an executive communication coach. And what I'm really passionate about is helping emerging leaders improve their communication skills to level up in their professional settings and really learn how to exude executive presence and dominate in those professional spaces.
Really? Okay. So, tell you said a communication, break that, say that one more time. A communication, what is the title of it?
Oh, executive communication coach or communication
Executive.
specialist.
I love that because I think that's one of the hardest things that leaders have a challenge with is communication. So, what got you moving in that direction to help leaders communicate better?
Well, communication is really the foundation of
Mm,
human interactions. It's really how we accomplish goals and how we're able to share our ideas and get people on board and move projects. And so I know, having gone through clinical training as a speech language pathologist and audiologist, you learn how to refine your communication for different settings. And you realize how people feel certain challenges in different settings, and they have sorry they you really have to realize that you can learn how to communicate differently for different situations.
mm,
I've encountered people where they've felt like certain people just are born with charisma. Certain people are just born with this ability to exude confidence. And while certain people are born with that natural ability, it is something that can be learned. It is a skill that can be
mm,
developed. And
okay.
so I want to encourage anybody who may feel funny with public speaking or speaking up in meetings and giving presentations to know that you can overcome that, because it
Mm.
is something that is essential to be able to navigate the workplace.
Okay, I love that. And that is so critical. So let's talk about it from the perspective of Black women in leadership, right? Because of course you have your doctorate, you're in academia, you have your own firm. So tell me, what do you think it is of why there's not more Black women in leadership?
That is a very complicated but important question.
Okay.
And I believe there are a couple of important things that we can address today. Black women they often have to navigate some challenges and some stereotypes that some people may have. And
Mhm.
often when we come to situations bringing our authentic selves, we may be accused of being too forceful in the
Mhm.
workplace, or maybe you're more of an introvert and you're quiet, and then you might get accused of not speaking up in the workplace. And so there are some biases. That's the word I was looking for. There are some biases that we often have to overcome that maybe some of our counterparts do not have to overcome and face.
Mm.
And so I really am passionate about empowering Black women specifically to own the spaces they're in, because often
Mm.
it's not that Black women have challenges with their communication. It's
Okay.
not that, it's the recipients. And so I
Okay.
think learning how to have that confidence
Mm.
and stand in that and recognize the value that you bring and
Mm.
to help other people see that, that is important. And so
Mm.
with with communication and with networking, I think those are really key pieces to getting to those leadership positions.
Really?
And I know that we're seeing some progress. We know that Black women are the most educated demographic. We
Mhm.
know that we are making moves and really growing in the workplace. And we can take these opportunities to empower other people
Okay.
and
I love.
empower other Black women and give them a chance.
So why is that we have to do all the work? Because it seems like the burden once again falls back on us to have to do work honestly where work is not needed. I guess and that's my challenge when I coach Black women, because most of my most of them, most of all of my clients are Black women, and my workshops are filled with Black women. And I remember, I think I did a workshop last month, and one of my clients said, "Are you going to teach me how to have soft skills?" I said, "No." I mean, I get what they were asking me, right? And that sounds good, but the thing is, why teach you something you already know? Most Black women truly had to know how to have soft skills, right? It's just soft skills are really just a part of kindness and treating people with respect and dignity. But it seems like we're always the ones that have to have all the work per se, right? Where who is teaching other people how to interact with us and accept us for who we are? And that's where, for me, even teaching leadership, I think I was asked last week how I felt about teaching leadership and how that interacts with the real world. And my problem with the theory of leadership, that I don't think it really gives a great depiction of the true landscape of the world that we're in, if that makes sense.
Mhm. Absolutely. And you bring up a great point. It's with the idea of us having to do the work of
Mhm.
being understood when often there is no issue that we have. And so to that, I say that is really where owning your skills, owning your expertise, and
Mm,
exuding that executive presence will facilitate that, because when you are on point, it's undeniable. And
mm,
I think one of the things that can help, even when you are maybe not the most senior person in the room, when you are still able to speak in a confident and authoritative manner and exude that presence, it does command respect. And
mm,
also, I think it's okay to call it out when you are seeing that you are being unfairly treated, and not
mm,
necessarily in a hostile way, but if we know that microaggressions
mm,
are present at times in the workplace. And so maybe if you are speaking, if you're presenting an idea and you're maybe noticing somebody is making a face, or maybe they're responding in a way that shows some concern, but they're not being direct with it, maybe they're being passive aggressive, call them out and make them stand on what it is that they're trying to convey. And I
Mm,
heard one of my mentors in the past, she said, is the problem with the message or the delivery? So it
mm,
makes them say, okay, I can tell you're uncomfortable. What is it? So that they are
mm,
not able to just hide behind those microaggressions, but they actually have to bring it forward. And then from there, you have the ability to either talk it out or follow up in private or have a conversation with HR if necessary. But
mm,
I think those kinds of things teach people how to interact with you appropriately and to let
mm.
them know that you're not going to tolerate certain types of disrespect in the workplace.
Mm. So have you found that that works? Because I have found, even in my past corporate experience and with several clients, that that does not always work. And a lot of times, people don't back down, even though you may
Mm.
come at them from a professional standpoint, or you may really, tell them how they're not going to treat you. And then what happens is those little tendencies to get you fired, those little tendencies to get you moved out and moved out the way. And I've seen that so many times. And I heard it with one of my clients. I was coaching her through some things and challenges she was having on the job. And she started telling me the things that they were doing. I said, that's the pattern of them trying to get rid of you, trying to fire you, trying to put you on a pip to get you fired, trying to check every box that you do, right? Whether it's yours or not. So they're checking under each rock just to document.
Mm.
That over documentation is a pattern of we're trying to get rid of you, we're trying to move you out. Maybe you're too vocal. Maybe you are too educated. Maybe you come with too much of everything. Have you found that to be the case, or have you ever had any experience with that?
So I'm not going to, I'll be realistic and
Mm,
acknowledge what you're describing absolutely does happen,
mm,
because it would be silly to act like those systemic issues are not present.
mm,
And I've heard experiences where that happens. And I really believe that that's part of the importance of networking within your
oh,
organization and
mm,
having a
mm,
champion, having somebody who, and knowing who those people are, because
yeah,
sometimes identifying them, it can take some work, it can take some intentionality. And I know that that's not a simple answer to
mhm,
say, like, oh, we'll get someone on your side. But also
mhm,
knowing that I think having real conversations when possible, sometimes we
mm,
know these microaggressions may come from a direct supervisor, but
yeah,
networking within the organization and knowing who is willing to speak on your behalf when you're not in the room, that
mm,
is important.
yeah,
And knowing that sometimes those people may not look like you, and that's
yeah,
okay.
mm,
So knowing that you really do need to be intentional about creating those relationships in organizations.
yeah,
And sometimes, if even if it's a person that is on a manager level, but in a different, maybe they're not your direct manager, but somebody more senior who is able to advocate for you, able to speak on your behalf. And so it's challenging because workplaces, whether you're talking higher education, corporate, like there are challenges. There are some toxic workplaces,
yeah, most,
realistically. But
yeah,
I think that's part of the reason. Um, Knowing yourself, being confident in your skills is important, and also really trying to network and find those places where and those people who will support you. That's really the key.
and I think you said the key, right? The key is the network. Network is going to be key to all of it, to getting to the next level, to having a peace of mind, and having that strong, like, I guess, ecosystem around you will help you nap. The people that are on your side, not the fake people. Not, we're not talking about the fake people, like the smile on your face and they're going to stab you as soon as you leave the room. Not those people. But I never forget. This is my story. I had a senior manager, which is I would say one of the best managers I ever had. I could probably count my five great leaders on one hand. And he was a man, but when I tell you, he spoke up for me when I wasn't in the room. And I knew he did by the way people would leave me alone. And that the microaggressions, they weren't directly spewed at me. Now it may have been in the orbit, right? But he was able to shut it down. And when he left, I knew he had left because now they came directly at me. I'm like, oh, he's gone. And I knew the day he was gone because when I tell you, it was like turning on a light switch. It's like, oh, we're here now. Watch what we're going to do to you now. I never forget that experience. But that's why I think more Black women do need to be in leadership. And I really would say not just Black women, right? Just like, oh, all Black women have your best interests at heart. But I think a part of it is teaching people how to be kind, teaching people how to not just be task managers, but to truly be good people.
Mhm.
That's the unfortunate part. They could be a Black woman in leadership, but if they're still not good people, and if they treat people the way they've been treated in a negative way, it could have horrible ramifications. 'Cause I've heard that story too, right? Where a Black woman was so excited to have another Black woman as her leader, and to kind of find out it was a nightmare from hell. And so, I don't, and so what do you think about that? Like, where can we get to that point where, Tabitha Brown said it that all skin folk ain't kinfolk. And
Yeah.
oh my God, like that resonated so strongly with me. How do we get leaders to a point? And I'm still trying to figure this out as much as I've studied leadership. How do we get leaders to a point where they're just good people, regardless of the data, the metrics? Just can you be a good person and still get stuff done?
I believe so. I
Okay.
am fully in agreement with you that it really does come from teaching people to be good people. And I
Mm,
think we really need to change the view of leadership
okay.
where it's not just, okay, I'm in charge of getting this project done, but maybe
Mm,
thinking of it as it's my job to inspire and engage my team so that we're all working on one accord.
that's
And
it.
it takes a certain type of person to
I'm
do that.
mm, I'm gonna tell you what type of person it takes because I so two things, right? My background is in agile. So I'm an agile coach, I'm a certified scrum master, and I wrote a paper on agile leadership. And agile has is a mindset. It's a growth mindset, and it's not a fixed mindset. And it's a thought process where I'm not above you, you're not above me, but we're working together, right? Which is the whole idea of Scrum, which is the whole idea of agile, is that we're working in one accord, that the team is self-empowered and self-functioning and self-managing. And I really think the agile way of being takes away that hierarchy because people think that in order to be a leader, it has to be the hierarchy, it has to be the dictatorship, and I have to give you each task, or you're never going to function without me, right? I think it's people's insecurity that they'll be replaced. That's what I think it is, right? My professor told me it's a possibility. So I think that's the possibility that people think they're going to be replaced. And then I have a mentor, she's a VP, and she talked about being strategic with your people, not just your business. I'm like, do people really plan for their people? Because businesses plan for the business, but how many businesses plan for the people and have a strategy for the people and have a community for the people where it feels really good and we're like really honing in on the people aspect of it? That's what I think.
Oh, I love that. Absolutely. And yes, from what you described, it seems like the agile framework really does a nice job of taking away that hierarchy, because I think successful leadership comes when you approach it collaboratively
Mm-mm,
rather than just the simple authoritative directive. And people like it when they feel heard and feel respected. And
mhm,
I think if you take that collaborative approach to leadership and people feel like they are working with you and they're part of the vision, then it's a better outcome for everyone. And
mhm,
so, back to
mhm,
your previous point, as we mentor Black women entering different fields, we want to prepare them to be mentors and to usher in other Black women and to be that champion for somebody else, maybe
mhm.
when they need somebody to speak on their behalf or support them.
I love that. And you know what? It made me think, right, to your point about the agile way of working and agile mindset. Part of agile is having a vision, right? You have a product vision. Your leaders give a vision for the product and vision where we're going. What do you say would be the vision for Black women in leadership? If we could right now, right, say single handedly, we are making the world better, right? Like this is our whole mission right now, just me and you. What would you like say is the vision for Black women leaders? How would you articulate that?
Oh, wow.
I just
That
thought
is
about
a big question. The vision for Black women leaders.
mm,
Honestly, I feel like a big part of it for me would be seeing a Black woman leader and instantly expecting excellence. And
mm,
I don't mean that in a way that suggests, I know that the term Black excellence has had some negative connotations in certain communities. But what I mean is when you see a Black woman leader, there is no question in your mind, are no comparisons to other
mm,
people wondering, is this the most effective leader, where you look at her and
mm,
you are awaiting her leadership, her guidance, and you're confident in how you're
mm.
going to move forward. And I think when we get to the point where that is the standard, then we'll all be able to kind of exhale a little bit in the workplace.
I like that. And when you were talking, I thought about something my kids were asking me. They're asking about family and aunts and uncles and cousins and things like that. Because my kids are really close. I don't know why my one hair is sticking up. My kids are really close to their cousins, right? And when I was thinking about what vision I would have for Black women in leadership, it's Black love. When I think about some of the best leaders, right? When I think about my mom, I never forget, I don't know. So I grew up in California, and my mom used to be in human resources, and she used to be in human resources at Strauss. It was like a linen company, like a Bed Bath and Beyond is now, but it was Strauss back in the day, right? And so she used to be in human resources, and I just remember the type of love that she had for her people. And then when I think about Black women leaders now, I think about my aunts, right? And I think about how they have a way of lovingly being who they are, being having their door open, but still giving guidance at the same time. But it's a guidance that is actively listening to the situation, to the circumstance, and giving space to make your own decisions, but knowing that there's support on the other side of whatever you decide, and that we'll pick up the pieces together. Oh, I love that. Like, and that'll be my vision for Black women in leadership, is that Black love, right? That Black love that you would get from an aunt or a mother, the matriarch of the family, that um, that causes a sense of peace and reduces anxiety. Um, that's what I think a good vision for a Black woman leader would be. So how do we get more Black women in leadership? So with both of our visions, how do we get more Black women in leadership? Because the opportunities aren't always there. And as we know, to get in those high C-suite positions, there's few of them anyway, right? But if we don't have the network, we don't have the connection, how can you and I get more Black women there?
Hmm.
Because we're educated. We
Yeah,
have the most education. I mean, you're looking at it right here, right? Like we have the most education.
absolutely.
We are the smartest, like we are brilliant. How do we get us there in those positions?
I I believe we're doing a lot of positive things to get there now.
Okay.
I I think one of the big things, I keep going back to networking,
Okay.
and I know that's an important piece of it, but yeah, getting more Black women in these leadership positions, I think it beyond networking. I think we also are going to need to have the confidence to try for those positions, to have the ambition to
Yeah.
think that you could be a VP. Because
Yeah.
I'll be honest, I know that there are a lot of people out there, they're just wanting that job. And they don't
Mhm.
necessarily envision themselves holding a C-suite position or being
Yeah.
a VP. Like,
Yeah.
and so making sure that when
Mhm.
we are mentoring young
Yeah.
students, that that they know that they can aspire to that. And then also maybe highlighting, when we have the opportunity, highlighting people that are in those roles. And a
Mhm.
lot of this may come back to us being in those mentorship roles where we are going to speak to younger
Yeah.
students, maybe at universities and high schools, so that they are aware of the things that they can hope for and work towards. Because a lot
Okay.
of times you don't know that there are possibilities out there if you don't see them.
Yeah. I love that. And it's funny that you said that because I had two clients that I was working with. Both I mean all the women I work with are wonderful, but these two come to mind in particular, heavily degreed, and they were going for positions I didn't like for them. And so I told one of them, I said, please don't be mad at me. I said, but I'm not gonna help you with that. And she's like, why not? I said, because you don't need to do that. I'm like, you can apply for that on your own. I'm not going to help you with that because I'm reading your resume. I help tailor your resume. And you are director or VP, and directors being low, right? Directors being low and very modest, just because I know you haven't had the C suite before. So, okay, we might have to work you up, but it ain't gonna take that long. Like, they're actually like, I don't know what to say. Who cares? Like, we can learn what to say. I'm like, have you seen your two master's degrees? Like, trust me, just sit there in the room and in 5 minutes later, you're gonna know what to say. I've said, I've seen you, I've listened to you for weeks. Like, I know for sure that you need to be someone's director or you need to be someone's VP. And I think what you said it perfectly. We as women really need to speak into who other women are. And when we see it, I we really need to start flaunting it. I have a bad problem with women that don't speak into their own greatness. That
Mhm.
bothers me. Like there's not very many things that I get bothered by, right? I don't care about very much. Like I'm like whatever, life is life. But when a woman, especially a black woman, doesn't own her greatness, whether she has degrees or not. When I tell you I've seen some great women, I'm like, what? You think you not what? I'm like, have you listened to yourself? Do you not know who you are? Like, and I don't think we have heard that enough. And unfortunately, I've heard the story with so many of us being beat down that I think could it be that we're scared to get in those positions?
I think so. I
Mm.
think you made so many points. I won't say it's only that, because I think that is simple, like that's oversimplifying it. But I think you brought up a good point with your example. I think we need people who are able to say, you aren't seeing your full capability. You're not seeing how great you are. Like when you, and I think when you spoke into your client and you said, look, you're applying for this job, but this is not aligned with your skill set, your qualifications. You need to be aiming higher. Sometimes we need to be told that. I know
Mm,
I've benefited from people pouring into me. And so again, I think that connects to what we were talking about before about how we can try to continue to pour into ourselves, pour into other women, and speak on our greatness, because it is
mm,
uncomfortable. I think it can be uncomfortable. Like I will
mm.
say, it's something that I even still deal with being because I think sometimes we're taught that we need to be humble,
Oh,
and
I gotta thought about that humble.
yeah, and it's like, well, no, not always.
Mm,
And there are some other demographics of people where they don't feel the need to be humble and embrace their humility. And I think that we need to get into the habit of speaking, of telling people about our
yeah.
accomplishments, making sure that people know, making sure they're aware.
And you know what? I know it goes against the biblical principle. It's like to be humble so God can exalt you. I get all of that, right? But I'm very, very careful that they tell us as Black women to be humble. Be humble. You know, you need to be more humble. I never forget. I had a manager one time, and she like, "Yvette, you just need to be humble." I hope you gave her the same advice. I
Mhm.
hope that you gave her the same advice because her nasty attitude ain't saying humility in the least bit, right? And I think we get that twisted, that being humble makes us like docile and meek. And honestly, it has gotten us run over for so long because we're so used to being humble. What
Mhm.
I like the Dion method, right? Speak about it, speak on it. And think about it, they're going to talk about you anyway. Shador said, I'm a big old, big old, big old, big old football fan, right? Shador gets talked about when he doesn't want to throw at the combine. But you know what the news didn't report? How many other people didn't throw at the combine?
Hmm.
But because he says, like, I'm the greatest, his daddy saying he the greatest, yeah, he should be the number one draft pick. Now he's wrong. I remember Dion said, somebody he was he okay when he got to color when he was on I think probably First Take, right? And they were saying, yeah, Colorado took a chance on you. And he sat there, he said, they didn't take no chance on me. They lucky to have me. I was like, oh my God. I was like, but how many times are we taught? Well, I hope someone takes a chance on me. I hope they take a chance on me. When we've done all the work, the foundation is strong, the layers are like fortified, but we think someone's doing us a favor by us being recognized and rewarded and compensated for our work, you know? And I think that when we as Black women lean into that leadership, lean into that, and I'm not saying be rude. So just because you're not humble doesn't mean you have to be the polar opposite and be rude, right? But
Right.
I think there's that balance of I can speak into who I am and I can own what I do and how I do it because I do it well. That's what I really believe.
Yeah. And I I don't think that being humble means
Mm,
not sharing information. Like it's okay to speak facts. It's okay to make people aware of what you do, but it doesn't have to mean I'm better than this person. It just means I'm qualified for what I'm doing. I'm making moves in my career and I'm just sharing that. And I think there is a balance where you can share
mm,
without being boastful and rude. But it's the only way that we're going to be able to advance and have people think of us for different opportunities that present themselves is to make people aware of our accomplishments or of our progress. And so I think there is a fine line. And you, with Black women in general, I think there is this idea of, oh, if you're talking about yourself, then you
mm,
need to be humble. Where it's like, no, I'm just making you aware.
yeah. And one of my mentors said it perfectly that you have to remind people who you are. And what is wrong
Mhm.
with it if you are better than someone? there's no harm in being better. Like, it's okay. Like, it's okay that someone is better at something than someone else. That's a great learning opportunity. Like, it's
Mhm.
okay to have some strengths in a certain aspect, in a certain area. Like, I tell people, I know leadership. If I don't know nothing else in the world, I know leadership. So I've been in leadership, I've experienced leadership. I'm always studying leadership. I'm like, I study it. Like, that's what my doctor is in. I know leadership, but I will tell you, I don't know medical stuff. I don't know the protons from the neutrons, the electrons and the molecules. You're not getting me into all that, you know? No, I can't tell you where all the bones are in the body, what all of them do, you know? That's just not my forte, you know? But how would we feel if we walked into the doctor's office like, I'm going to be humble today. I don't know what you got. I'll think about it. Like there's some places where it's accepted, and I think we as Black women need to step in and own our leadership and own our greatness. But what this is my question though, what do you think about doing it for ourselves?
Oh, can you explain what you mean by we say doing it for ourselves?
Yes, I can. So instead of being in corporate America, what if we're making our own ecosystem, right? Building our own organizations, building our own firms, and being like a beacon of light and a beacon of hope for one another and for ourselves. Maybe Black women in leadership is about leading yourself, not necessarily fitting into someone else's mold.
Oh, I absolutely agree with that idea. And as we've been talking, I've been really thinking about how great your community is because I feel like you are a messenger for this idea that women really need to own their greatness. And I think we with the social media and more people sharing their experiences, I think we are having a movement where people really are, well, Black women specifically, really are stepping into that space and owning their greatness and creating community. And I think with your organization, with your community, you're doing that. And with my work, I'm trying to do that same thing because we we really do need to empower each other. We can
Yeah.
start with empowering ourselves and empowering each other. And and I think we don't need to wait for validation from some of these external sources.
Yeah. And how would that move the needle? How would that make us feel if we didn't wait? So let me tell you, I'll tell you a story because this just came to me today, right? And I was really, really excited because I was on Sunday, I had a live and it was with the Sister Circle, right? One of my friends is holding a conference and it's about curse at wisdom to lead, the Sister Circle, right? And so after the live, and her sister and I started talking, and we were just talking, and like we're just sharing ideas, right? Two sisters, like she owns a tax firm, I own my leadership and coaching, and we were just talking. And so I was telling about my Scrum Master workshop and how I really wanted to be a certification, not a certificate. And it's like I kept like wrestling with that thought, right? But I'm like, it's already been created. She's like, Yvette, why don't you create it for yourself? She's like, certify your own stuff. I was like, what? I'm like, oh my God, I had never thought about that. And I was talking to another colleague, and she was gonna connect me with, um, the DISC assessment. And she's like, well, you can use the DISC assessment, and I'll teach you, and you get certified. I'm like, as much research as I've done, like I got an assessment, like it's research and it's proven, just like all the others. I said, why don't you get your own assessment certified? Like, because they're the same people. I'm like, and I don't think any of them are doctor, nobody. So like, I don't think Kim Blanchard and they're great people, right? Don't get me wrong. I love them, right? The thought leaders, I love them. But like, I don't remember any of them being doctor so and so or having a doctorate in strategic leadership. So I'm like, why don't you just get your own stuff certified? So then you funnel women through your certification, which is just as valid. So, like, just building to your point, building your own and establishing yourself. Could that be the new way of Black women in leadership?
I think it is.
Mm,
I think that will be an important segment.
okay.
And as we embrace entrepreneurship, we're able to create opportunities for ourselves. And
Mm,
I think it'll be even more mainstream. So yes, I
mm.
definitely think that we're on that path.
Because if it could be that we gain experience and knowledge, right? Even in corporate America, but then we have the knowledge to also build our own simultaneously and in parallel. I think that would do, my dog just entered the room. I think that would do a lot for our confidence and a lot for how we interact with one another. And it could just be like the gateway to something new and special and different for Black leadership overall. And that could be a different aspect of representation.
I agree. And I am really in favor of what you described, having an entrepreneurial venture alongside maybe your
Mm,
corporate job, because a lot of times people show up differently and they
mm,
may have more deference, they may be more meek when they feel, oh, I can't lose this job, or this is my only option. But you
mhm.
show up differently when you're able to say, I choose to be here, I
I
choose to
choose
grace you
my
with my
choice.
presence today.
Yes,
And
yes.
and when you are respectful but not intimidated, that
Mhm,
allows you to interact with people differently, and you can
yes.
command a different level of respect. And it's something that just happens naturally. And I really do think entrepreneurship can contribute to that.
And you're able to make different decisions. When you said that, it made me think of my mentor. And I said, well, I was asking her something like, how are you able to say that? How are you able to make that decision? She said, that's when you have money saved on the side. So no matter what they do, you still And I was like, oh, I said, that's the key. No one tells you that, right? Like, have some money stashed away, not for just a rainy day, but when you need to speak your mind and when you don't care what the repercussion is, and then, okay, we're going to let you go. Okay, great. Because it doesn't always work out where you can go to HR, where you can like have someone in the room speaking for you, because that person in the room may turn out that they're saving their check too. So having that money of it's for my decision, that my decision money, that like I can say this and not disrespectful,
Right.
or not rude, but I have a true opinion and my true opinion matters. So having that money, having that way out. So this is my other question: how women that don't want to be entrepreneurs, because there's some women that like, I ain't got time for that, that's not
Mhm.
me. So we have some Black women that want the journey of corporate America, or they're setting themselves up to be in corporate America. How do we ensure that their journey is easier?
Hmm. That is a good question. And yes, I recognize that not everybody wants entrepreneurship, and that is totally fine. I think a good way to approach it, in my experience, it's helpful to understand the system and
Mm,
understand the dynamics.
okay.
That is really key to being able to navigate it effectively. It's
Mm,
almost like the prayer of serenity. You accept or
mhm,
understand the things that you can't change so that
okay.
you can take control of the factors that you can control and change.
Okay.
So, understanding dynamics, understanding the system is really key. And in those cases, there is going to be some emotional intelligence required. And I don't say that, I know we have that. So, it's not to say that we don't, that we lack it. But well, in general, emotional intelligence and learning how to control your responses, your reactions rather. And so sometimes managing that, not giving reactions to people who may be trying
Mm,
to get you riled up. If they see that they're not able to do that, that's a way for you to maintain control over some difficult situations.
mm,
And really understanding who you're working with,
mm,
and how to best navigate that system. And so
Mm,
I know you said, how do we make it easier for them? I feel, unfortunately, I don't know that there's an easy way, but I
mm.
do think you can be informed. And when you are informed, you can be more strategic in how you approach situations.
I like that. And
So,
I think I've been thinking about emotional intelligence for a while because people will they can weaponize emotional intelligence, especially for women. I This is my own opinion. This is just Yvette's humble opinion, as I say. I think they got emotional intelligence wrong. Because emotional intelligence will tell you keep it together, don't show any emotion, fight it all back. But I think that could be killing women because you have to suck it up, keep it all in, right? Whereas if you can be your authentic self, emotions and all, could it be that that could be the changing point to what people really need in the workplace and work environment? Because think about how many women um are in the senior level executive positions that don't seem like humans. They don't seem like they have any humanity to them because they're taught about emotional intelligence. They're taught keep it in, suck it up, don't show any emotion. Well, what about if we have some emotion? Look, it's a tough day. We going through some things.
you know,
We're gonna be all right.
mhm,
I'm feeling my best today. I cried on the way here. But we're gonna be all right. I mean, today is like life in me. The kids are acting a fool and I'm tired. But we're gonna get through. And if we have to go home early, we gotta go home early. Like I think that sometimes we've had to stuff it all in for so long that it's made us dehumanize who we naturally are.
mhm.
Like we stop being us.
And I agree with you. And I want to clarify because in no way am I suggesting that we should become robots
Mm,
and hold it all in. I think we can be intentional
mm,
with how we show emotion and reaction because I think there is something to being authentic and
mm,
real. And kind of going back to your point before about the vision for Black women leaders, I think being able to be authentic really encapsulates that vision.
yeah.
With with regard to emotional intelligence, I don't view it as you should always hold it in and it's inappropriate for you to show that you're angry or sad or tired. Not that. Because I think part of emotional intelligence is being empathetic and
Mm,
being able to relate to your colleagues and
mm,
being able to show that. And so I think we
mm,
need to have that understanding of, okay, when is it appropriate
mm,
or how can I show my team that I'm in this with you? I'm
mm,
frustrated too. I know we've got this deadline. I'm tired and I'm a little bit frustrated too. We're all in it. And
mm,
then on the other hand, when you have somebody that you know is trying to get under your skin
yeah.
and you are able to hold down some of the magnitude of anger that you may be feeling to give an appropriate response that puts them in their place and doesn't give them the satisfaction of seeing you react to their microaggression. And so I think it's all about control with self control while still remaining authentic and
Mm,
empathetic and personable.
mm. I like that. It made me think of a leader I had. She was a VP, and they have rolled out flight attendant uniforms, and it was like a hot mess, right? And she said, "I know that was clunky." She's like, "I know that was clunky, and we're gonna fix it, and it's gonna get better." And I remember one time she hadn't taken a vacation in like forever, and she said, "I took a vacation because I was tired." And she's like, and I just had to like not answer my phone. She's like, I took my RV and me and my husband went out. We sat on the lake, and like that was like the first time I heard a leader, especially a female, just be real about it. Like, that was a hot mess. We're gonna get it fixed, but we're not gonna overreact either. Like, it's gonna be okay. And so that's why I say with emotional intelligence. just like calling the thing and being okay to call it the thing. Because I get concerned because as women have to hold it in so much and hold it all
Mhm.
together, even in relationships, even in personal relationships. I think we have to hold it together way too much, way too often, and I wish we can get away from that. I wish and so my part of me is I live in a utopian society in my head, right? So like I wish we can get to a place where I can be me, you can be you, and it's okay just to be like
Mhm.
differences and all. Because I've seen people like fall apart because they're trying to hold it all together
Mhm.
because of bullying, microaggressions. So it's interesting. It is interesting. But I think that goes again, that's why representation matters, right? I think that's how we get to a place where it's okay to be okay.
Mhm.
So we're getting more women there. So we discussed how to get more women in, how to help them navigate. What do you and how to network? This is the question because we're almost coming on the top of the hour. This is a good conversation. How does a woman, especially a black woman, because we're talking about black women, that's my audience. How does a black woman find her network? Like, how does she find that? Besides like a LinkedIn group. I'm still struggling with like, how do you find, unless it's Stephanie Perry's channel, right? But how do you find that's the truth. Like,
I
I'm
watched, yeah, Stephanie Perry and Rashida Dow.
that's it. Like, unless it's they
Yeah.
channel in Exodus Summit and you
Mhm.
Exodus ASAP, like I don't know. But let me tell you the funny thing. Because right, what I found was like this, and I always give Stephanie so much credit and so much praise because she is the reason like why this community is here and why so many black women are gathered and why my organization is where it is today, right? I thank her so much. And so like, I was telling her, we were in a workshop and I said I never knew this many great black women existed because in my experience I hadn't been around hundreds of like wonderful black women that there was no like jealousy, no anger, no like backstabbing. And mind you, you have to realize doctors and lawyers and nurses and like no degrees, homemakers, like all kinds of black women, right? So I'm like, where were y'all at? I needed y'all. Like I needed y'all in corporate America. Why didn't I sit next? Why wasn't my desk next to y'all's desk? And why didn't we eat lunch together? Like how cool life would have been with just like my sisters with me, And like it's selfish. That's why I hold the workshop every month because I just like talking. I just like talking to a bunch of great black women. So how do we find that network? You got a secret?
Oh, I'm going to be honest with you. It takes some time. I'm still seeking it myself, and I've found my way into some of the same communities you described. But I think getting back to that idea of authenticity, because we
Mm,
are complex people, we have lots of interests. And so I think it's possible that we can find people who share those interests. But on a
okay.
more professional note, I would say your professional organizations, often
Mm,
there are affiliate groups that are associated with specific minority areas. So, like, for example, I'm a speech language pathologist and audiologist, and we have the National Black Association for Speech, Language, and Hearing. And there's some great networking that takes place there. And I know, like, for example, I've heard of other groups like National Association of Black Journalists, and so maybe look into some of those professional organizations to find some of your people, maybe thinking about going to certain conferences, or even the larger national organizations for your certain professions.
okay.
Oftentimes there are groups within that may be a way for you to tap in. And then if you're looking for more of a community feel, some of the community organizations or chapters in your area. So
Mm,
my sister actually told me she recently joined or I won't say she joined, but went to an event for, I think, the National Urban League or those
Okay.
kinds of organizations. So thinking
Mhm.
about where you might find other Black professional people. And yeah, it's not easy, but I think we are getting to a point where social media has made it a lot easier to
Yeah,
find your people. And
yeah.
so having that virtual connection, being in that virtual community with people is it's a bit easier to find. You know, I know some people are leaving Facebook, but some Facebook groups are there, and I I think it is helpful to be able to have places and spaces where you can go and connect with people who have similar aspirations or interests, even if they aren't in your same office
Mm.
building.
I'm glad you said that because I've always said, and maybe I just need to do it. I said on LinkedIn, I want to create a black women in agile. That's what I said I want to create because what I realized in building this community, some of the same women I was in like groups with in on LinkedIn. I'm like, and but we didn't know each other, right? So we didn't know each other outside of like the, you know, four corner,
Mhm.
like posts, and so just I guess building that community. So you made me think of something else too. So like they say, if you want it to be, it's up to me. So I think part of it is the women that have the desire to grow Black women in leadership, to have more representation. If you have that desire, just do it, right? Like my desire is to really grow Black women into the careers they want, making a whole lot more money. And doing it easy, right? Like I really believe in that. So maybe it's just about expanding that community. And I want to say, chat, what do you guys think? So, because you and I have been talking, this has been good conversation. I should ask the audience. I mean, for those who just joined or those that join in the future, what is your idea of building a community, getting more Black women into leadership, and why it matters? And the other question is, why aren't more Black women in leadership? And I think this conversation could go on and on. It'd be great if it was on CNN. I'm just saying. I mean, it'd be a great conversation for. That's who Stephanie. She just was in Las Vegas at a conference, and she said Abby was one of, I guess, the moderators on the panelists at the event. Abby does a roundtable of talking to different people and having conversations. So this would be a great conversation if they will authentically have it. So yeah, but we're almost at the top of the hour. But I want to give space for any golden nuggets that you want to leave with the audience, or inspiration or thoughts that you want to leave.
Well, I think the most important thing is to own your greatness, own your skills, and walk in that confidence every day, because that's going to radiate when you interact with your colleagues. And that will be the foundation that will allow you to to interact with confidence and exude that executive presence when you are in the workplace.
Mm,
And also, don't put any limits on how high you can rise,
mm,
whether that's working through the corporate ladder and achieving a C-suite position, or whether it's starting your own enterprise and being the
mm,
CEO of your own business.
mm.
Know that you if you want that leadership spot, then it can be yours.
I like that. And so we did. Is it? Am I saying? I think it's Tiffany. That's what I'm going to say. She said Black women are beat down so much that they start to believe that they are not good enough for these professional places. And Tiffany, you know what? Truth be told, that's for real. That's as they say, real talk, right? That's real talk, and that is completely legitimate. And that's the unfortunate truth that I was hoping. I was hoping. I was hoping it just was me, right? I was just hoping that it was just me having some bad experiences and that I needed to change. But in talking to hundreds of women, I'm not the only one. And it's sad because they look like me, my cousins, my sisters. Like And that's the unfortunate thing, Tiffany. And that's what I don't have a cure for. One cure I will say for that is finding the right culture. Culture matters because I've been at some organizations that I absolutely loved. And I've been at some organizations I absolutely hated and having the same position, right? But the culture matters. And finding the right culture can take a bit, and it's not one and done, but sometimes you have to navigate that. That's why I always tell women, um, to build your skills and to build up like a heavy tool belt, right? So if you don't like something, you can pivot to something different, so you don't have to feel stuck in one profession. That's what I do. So, do you have any thoughts on that?
Oh, that is great. I love having options. And as somebody who is a multifaceted professional myself, I think that's excellent advice. And speaking to that comment, though, I
Mhm.
think that is the reason that spaces like this are so important,
Mhm.
because you need places where you can be poured into and have somebody rebuild your confidence.
Yeah, yeah.
And and it helps. I've heard
Mm.
I heard this suggestion, and I think it does help. If you have a journal of your successes,
Girl,
write it
yes.
down.
Girl, yes.
And
That
when you're feeling down,
part.
go back and read
Yes,
and think about all that you've accomplished. Think
yes.
about all of your successes and remind yourself of who you
Mm.
are and all that you've done.
Ooh, and I'm big on this. This is what I call it. I call it a resume of your success. We
Mhm.
do a resume for our career. Do a resume of your success, right? Like I'm that chick. Like I am that chick, right? And speaking it to yourself. And one thing I do with my clients, and this is what I recommend all women do, is have affirmations. Keep affirming yourself daily. And I don't know, every time I sit down at my desk, I never have it with me. But I'm reading the book called The Miracle Journal. And when I tell you it is the best book ever, and it speaks about um, remembering when you had your best success and what that felt like,
Mhm.
and how to bring that same feeling of that success into the present. And when you do that exercise, you be like, oh man, I was that chick. Like, and it brings back that sense of euphoria because the mind doesn't know the difference between reality and just a made up thought, right? So I think part of it pouring into, like Tiffany said, having the sisterhood and sharing experiences, I really believe there's something powerful when women share their own experiences with other women that are good. Like, girl, let me tell you how I got through this. Girl,
Mhm.
let me tell you what I did. Let me tell you what I said. Just having that shared experience of greatness, I think, can spark a flame in someone else. And I think that we as women, maybe we don't have enough spaces to do that, enough places to share that. So yeah, like a community of hope, right? Like
Mhm.
the hope finders, the hope builders, just holding that space of hope and love, for one another so that we can represent one another well.
Mhm.
So, that's something to think about. Something to think about. Well, I love those nuggets, and I have enjoyed this conversation. And I thank you so much for spending time with me. So, tell our audience, do you have any programs or anything on the horizon that you want to share with us? Or how can people get in touch with you to better communicate and articulate themselves? Even if
Oh,
they don't have the money to say what they really feel on it.
well, thank you so much for having me. This has been an amazing conversation. And you can find me at procommunicationsolutions.com. And there you can book a call with me and we can talk about some of your goals and see if we'd be a good fit to work with each other. You can also find me on LinkedIn,
Mm.
Dr. Keena James Seward, and I'd love to connect. And I also have an Instagram
Mm,
that is Professional Com Solutions,
mm,
and that's Professional COMM Solutions.
okay, I love it. I love. I was trying to get the banner up here. I hope I spelled this right. Pro
Pro
Communication
Communication.
Solutions. Is there an S at the
Oh,
end?
Solutions with S.
Okay, that's
Yes.
why. Okay, that's what I was wondering.
Thank you so
No
much.
problem. Yes. So yes, let's keep one another lifted up. Let's keep one another motivated. And I'll toss it up again. I think I got it right this time.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Educationsolutions.com. So thank you for sharing your knowledge. Thank you for sharing your wisdom. And just being a beacon of hope and a beacon of light to so many women that need these type of conversations to move forward and to still have the courage they need to get through their day. Because some women are still liking it, right? Some women aren't able to quit and leave and not have to deal and manage in corporate America. But that's why these conversations are important. And so if you are still aspiring to be in corporate America, move up on that corporate ladder, make a little bit of money while you can, the opportunity is still available and you don't have to quit. And if you stay to the end, thank you so much. If you will do us a favor, type in the chat, let us know that you stayed to the end, and put in the chat community. That's what we're going to put in the chat. We'll put in the chat community so I can give you a shout out and say hello to you. So I can just recognize you for staying here, being with us the whole way through. And share, do me a favor, share this with 3 Black women that you know need this conversation, that you know need the encouragement, that you know they need to know that they're not alone, or they got 2 sisters, at least 2 of us in the world that feel what they feel and understand what they're going through. So yeah, drop in the chat community. If you're here to the end, I would love, love, love to shout you out and say hello to you. But I did want to tell you all that the Scrum Master Workshop is open. Is officially open. I think I opened it Sunday or Monday. So it's officially open. So you have time to get in. If you missed it in the past, you're missing a treat. When I tell you the community is awesome, it's hundreds of Black women in there supporting and growing one another, growing their skills, growing their talents, putting more things in their tool belt. People always ask me, this is the number one question: can I be a scrum master? Is a scrum master for me? Yes. Anytime you're building your skills, yes. You too have the wherewithal and the power to grow your business, grow your knowledge, and honestly make more money. This is how I got into 6 figures, by being a scrum master. That's where it all started. Now I want this opportunity for you, you, and you. So get in on the workshop. It's going to be at the end of this month, and we're taking it on the road. So those that sign up will know the location. I won't disclose it here in the universe, in the YouTube universe, but once you sign up, you will know where my boots will be on the ground, and I would love to meet you in person. So make sure you join. That's the link right there. And I think we have another comment. Oh, you, thank you. Tiffany, you're in my class. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you for spending your time and your treasure with me. I appreciate it. Oh, and by the way, make sure, I know I'm going long. I probably not quit talking. Um, what is on the horizon? Let me tell you what we're building now. Is that the Scrum Master Workshop? You get a certificate now, but I'm in the works of making that into a certification. So we will soon be certified, an official Scrum Master certification. So it is coming, it is coming, it's coming. So that is my next thing, because I want us not to have to step outside to learn the material and then go get certified. I want us to learn the material and be certified in the same place and take that to market. So you don't have to leave. You don't have to leave home. You can stay right home where it is. And then I'm gonna add another funnel where I can get some recruiters on board, so we can start using that as a pipeline. So I'm training some phenomenal women, and I want to give you a pipeline right into the marketplace. So that's where we're on the horizon too. So get in the community, get in now. while the getting is good because it's going to get better. So yes, but thank you all for joining. Oh, we have Jasmine. I don't want to ignore Jasmine. Jasmine, community, yes, I'm certified because I saw. Oh, you because you saw one of my videos in November. Oh, and now let me help you with your resume. Go to vetjet.com. So I do resumes. I do tailored resumes. So you want to get your resume tailored because okay, I promise I'm gonna finish talking. I know as you can see, I talk a lot. That's probably why I'm on YouTube, huh? I talk a lot. Go to vetjet.com because what I know for sure, that's part of my journey. I got a career coach, I got my certifications, and I got my resume tailored. And I was on the hunt. You couldn't keep me out of a Scrum Master job. I said I want. You couldn't keep me out of multiple Scrum Master jobs. If I didn't like that one, I went to that one. If I didn't like that one, I went to that one. And I'm like, I want more knowledge over here. I want to work here. It's like whatever I dreamed of, I wanted it. I was gonna go get it. So let me help you with your tailored resume. So visit vetjet.com. And if you drop me an email, let me know that that it's you because you watched this video. Trust me, I'll give you something something special. So yeah, let me know. Congratulations, Jasmine. Great job. Well, Doctor, I know I don't want to mess this up.
Keena.
Keena, oh man, I almost had it. Dr. Keena, thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for this excellent conversation. I have to have you back again because I just love these moments. So, oh, tell us, because you said you're a professor. So, what do you teach?
Well, I teach speech language pathology and audiology. So,
Really?
speech language and hearing sciences. Yes.
What? Oh my God, that's deep. I don't even know what all that means. So, you said hearing science? What does that mean?
Oh, so if you think about people who have hearing loss and need hearing aids, or sometimes people have communication disorders like stuttering, or children who are delayed in their talking, or after people have a stroke and they have difficulty hearing, that is my area, speech language pathology and audiology. And so as part of that, with speech language pathology, we get into social communication and pragmatics. And that's kind of how I got my interest in the professional space and navigating some of those professional communication interactions.
See, so communication is your thing. Maybe we need a partner, right? I teach the leadership and you teach the communication of leadership.
Yeah, I would love that.
Because I'd be like, say what you want to say. I said, I think I'm getting too old, right? Like, because I'm like, say what you want to say, do what you want to do. You only live once. But that's not always that's not always practical. You know, I might change that when I get my doctor. My thing is, say what you want to say, do what you want to do. Just have
we were talking about authenticity, right? So yeah, let's embrace it. I love it.
Oh my God, Yvette is getting closer to my own. Do what you want to do. Be happy is what I say. Communicate with happiness. So, but no, we need more like you, right? That are more tamed in different environments. So I love it. And I love this conversation. And I say thank you so much. And once again, audience, drop in the chat if you're watching in the future. Drop in the word community. You have all the links to everything. You have Dr. King.
It's like Tina, but with a K.
Keena. There we go. We have Dr. Keena's information. So, Dr. Keena, I thank you so much for being with the audience today. And I'm glad we're building this community, right? This is what we've been talking about, building a community. Well, everyone, have a great evening, and we'll talk again soon. I think I'll see you guys on Thursday. I think I'm going to talk about Jira stuff. So be on the lookout for that. I'll let the community know. But everyone, have a great night, and thank you for joining us. Bye for now.
Thank you. Bye.